Okay, we are rolling. Welcome. My name is Martin. I have the intention to inform you about Japanese tools. You have seen in the thumbnail some images of them. This is a small one, and on the image you see the down part is harder steel as it is on the rest of the chisel. The rest of the chisel is soft steel. So I've seen some clips in Japanese and I thought, okay, I didn't find any good clip. Also, don't get me wrong, I forged some chisels by myself and I copied the method from the Japanese blacksmiths, so I know what I did and why I did it. And the clips that I have seen, they could be better because some guy said the chisels are identical to sharpen. That is wrong. It is not. They are not identical to sharpen, to a European chisel. Okay, why is this, and how does it come that the Japanese chisel or a Japanese plane? I will show you how that works in a second, or not in a second, in a few minutes. And where's the basic difference and crucial the difference? Okay, this is some small chisel I made. I made them from some calf feather. From such a steel, it's a spring steel. I took this because I made some marvelous knives out of this spring steel. It's a fantastic steel to work with. You can sharpen it very good. It will hold very long, a good edge to carve stuff away. It is easy to sharpen and easy to forge. So, well, why is the sharpening different from such a chisel to a Japanese chisel? I made this oak grip by myself. The rest is from a Japanese chisel. I just wanted to have a bigger size chisel so I can reach down in some holes and work down in some holes I have to work. So the difference now in sharpening is the steel. This steel is a mono steel. It is one alloy. It is not fire forged two steels together with how on this chisel is the case. When you check out the photo, you see the underside, this side of the chisel is from an origami super steel. It is some steel with tungsten in it and chromium, but not much. It's really under 3%. And this steel is very hard, very brittle. It is not as good sharpenable as to resharpen and to cut with like this spring steel, but it is a very good steel. So now the difference between these two models of chisels is the steel, and the lamination of these two steels is a crucial difference too. Okay, now why is this? Why do the Japanese blacksmiths take two kinds of steel? Well, there are two reasons. First, soft steel is easy to forge and it is cheap. It is not expensive like some mono steel. You can buy today good mono steel that is not very expensive, but when it comes to these tools, there are two very important differences to European kind of chisel. You see there, this is hollow, and so the Japanese made this underside hollow because when you do when you take a sharpening stone and you put the chisel on it and you are resharpen the chisel on the underside because you sharpen this angle and then you have to take off the burr from this side, so it is flat like a triangle and you can cut very well with such an easy sharpened angle. So okay, now this hard steel to grind off the hard steel on the underside is a very labor-intensive kind of work. You can do this with a machine, of course, but when you take a machine, you are never as you can when you have super high level and super high-tech machine. But when you have a band sander like I have, you will make mistakes. You will flip the chisel a slightly twist, and then the flatness of the chisel is gone because it took too much away from one edge. So now they make this they grind some hollow inside here, and then they this is some of the last steps they do. After first they forge the soft steel to a billet that has the appropriate size, so you can forge weld this hard steel on it. They make just a lamination, forge welded, and then they form the chisel out of this billet and the laminated steel. Now you have the upper part of the steel who is soft, and the down part again is hard. It's really brittle. It has about 63 to 65 Rockwell. It's really hard. It will shatter when you let it fall on the ground. It will shatter, or when you hit it with a hammer on the wrong spot. I will show you this in a second. Then you will ruin the hard steel too. It will break off like glass or ice. Okay, now you have the missing, you have the hollow ground here, and you have the soft part on the upper side. Now, when you are done with the resharpening on a stone, the chisel is on this side is flat. It's flat like this. I have to put away. Excuse me. It will be just flat. I will show you this with the measurement here. It will be like this, flat, and it is when you cut with a flat edge in something, it is okay. But because the resharpening is made easier from this hollow ground, you have to put down slightly with pressure this part, the cutting edge, downwards. Then you will have here a flat surface, and you can really easy cut away anything that is that has to be cut away. The next positive thing is you can cut in stuff when the chisel is slightly bowed down. And you see here the round part and the very glazing hard steel. You will exactly cut there where you see the glazing or the very high reflective part of the chisel, and here where it is ground out, you will cut nothing because it is the part too easy. It is made to easy being resharpened. You don't have to grind away all the hard steel. That is one thing. So back to the what you have to do with this slightly down bending of the chisel. And now, how you do this? I have my emboss there. I will not take my emboss here now, my anvil. So imagine this is some block of steel. You take your chisel, no joke, and you take a hammer, and then you hammer slightly here on the soft steel. Chisel here down, because you compress from the upper part, from the soft steel. You compress the soft steel, and that will end in a down motion of the hard steel. You can test this by buying a chisel. Believe me, do it yourself. And I can prove this on camera, but I could prove this on camera, but I would have to do some image. when you buy a Japanese chisel, I don't know that they are bent or not. So I will make this evidence image when I am done with the video. Now, you don't have to hammer like a donkey on it. I have made some mistakes and hit the front part. I can tell you, it shatters away like glass, the super steel. So, where are now the advantage from such a chisel steel to a spring steel or to some to some of those steels? You can carve and you can work more precise with a slightly down watching edge, and you can use the best steel on the planet. For this kind of work, I will say this now. When you find a better steel, in my opinion, the super origami steel is the best steel for such a purpose. You won't find any better. Japanese use it before they use it. This high-tech alloys, they use it just Tahamagane steel. It has about 1.09% of carbon. That's the same steel like they use it in Japanese swords. Some Sanmai build. Sanmai build means you have three different parts. Two parts on the outside is soft steel, and in the middle is a hard steel. The soft steel will stabilize and protect the hard steel in the middle. So when you when you take a sword and you hit another sword, and your sword is hard and brittle, it may be super tough and sharp, it will shatter. Also, not in all cases, but in many cases. The smith that came up with the idea from the Japanese Sanmai build, or with some Damascus build or whatever, he had been ashamed by himself by the doing and forging of the sword, so he had to come up with some new idea. And the idea was, how do I stabilize this hard steel so it will not shatter, but a samurai or soldier has some easy to resharpen and flexible blade. A blade has to be easy to resharpen, sharp, and be flexible enough so you can counterattack your opponent or parry some blows. So he took two he made one billet, and he forged the billet in a U shape, and then he applied the harder steel in the middle, and then he forges out the sword. So that's how they came to this Japanese super swords. I have a Wakatsashi at home. You can cut some saplings in the forest or whatever you want. You can bend this kind of blade backwards when it has some bow in it from a blow. So they took the same approach to these chisels. Now, why do we in Europe not have such a highly advanced kind of tool? Well, in my opinion, this is highly advanced. It has many advantages above this. This has just one advantage on the market. You can really produce them easy and sell them like hotcakes. This is not possible with such a high-end handmade tool. I assume highly it is possible to produce such tools in a kind of industrial environment, but where is the need? In Japan, almost, I assume this, you can correct me on this when you find some appropriate numbers, they make about 60% of the homes on the rural side are made from wood. So there you have it. They have a high need for high-end tools and high-end working pieces. I will show you in a few seconds what I could accomplish with some of the Japanese planes. So, and you cannot, when you try to bow or bend slightly downwards such a chromium vanadium steel, I assume, then when you hit it on the anvil, this the hitting will compress this steel alloy very just on a small part, and your hitting energy cannot go away. So what happens? It breaks because the energy has to release somewhere. When you bring in some energy on something with a blow or anyhow, the energy has to disappear somewhere, and it will not disappear in air when you hit with the hammer such a chrome vanadium steel alloy on an anvil. So you will ruin this. Don't do it. I thought I will do this just on demonstration purpose, but then I have to resharpen. So excuse me, you can try this yourself. It will shatter away like glass, I tell you. Don't do it, you will ruin your chisel and you have some work. So, now I will show you some, this is a hammer, this is a messing, this is some bronze, some copper bronze, copper zinc bronze. This is just a small hammer. I use this, it has about 600 grams. It's about something about higher as a pound of weight. I use this for heavy chisel work. Works perfectly. I have this hammer and the handle is burnt and then with some linseed oil. I use this for fast work when I want to work fast because it has a longer handle. It is really easy and good to work with this when I have to. This is just a small hammer when I want to play around and enjoy the work, or just don't need as much force to hit in the wood. So now back again, just to show you some difference. You see here there are angles on the chisel. Here not. I copied this style of chisel just in one piece and did not grind away the edges. Why I didn't do that? Because when this is for carving and this is for getting fast in wood, you see here and here is about 15% or more, could be more. I assume 30 to 40% that is grinded away here is not missing here. So you can spare the work of get this away, and then the next thing is you can, because it is here is still missing, you can go deeper and faster inside the wood, and you don't push away wood where this chisel will, when you push it inside the wood, this part will push away the fibers like this. And when you use such a chisel, the wood will just be pushed here and not on the side. It will not make this. So you have more control of cutting away the fibers. Right? Yes. Okay. Now, this is maybe the biggest plane in Europe. I have not found such a big plane. This is, I made this piece to myself. I can take it out. It will now make sound, so maybe a couple of years. You take this out by voila. I made three or maybe 5 of these boards. This is a recycled part. When you make such a big plane, use a hardwood. I would tell you take some oak. It's perfect. And well, it has a cut, but it works, so it has to work. I have to put here inside some screws because this is a board from when you see it, I don't know, no? Well, it's not important, you maybe see it here. It is a glued board from some table, so I recycle wood and steel because you can, we can too. Here you are seeing 2 parts of the steel. This is a lamination steel too. I will not tell you what steel I did use for this because it's trade secret. And this is, I won't touch it because it is sharp as my girlfriend. It's really sharp. So now why do I show you this? The intention was to show you these plain blades are forged in lamination too. It has the same advantages like the chisel. Especially in bowing down the edge just slightly. I did not carve out the downside on this plane because I didn't do it because I was not aware of it, or did I? No, but I don't care. I can resharpen this easy. I do not use it as often as I use the other parts because it is really big. The wood I use normally, has some nuts inside from some branches. It is not the expensive wood, so, but this was an experimentation, and I had a project going where I did not need some expensive wood. Expensive wood has no nuts in it. When you cut with the plane on such wood or such wood, and it will work, but it will catch fibers. So this is just the plane I had just made for good wood like this. It is, I don't know the name in English. It has very much resin in it, and when you smell on it, it smells like fish now. This though it don't smell like fish. It just smells wet now because I'm in my bunker. And this is from Siberia. It is very good, very easy to work with wood. I love it. It's some of the best wood. It is some kind. It is not a cypress, but it is very nearly to cypress. So now, when you're going to, I fix this later because I want to talk to you and give you the attention, not the plain readjustment now. Okay, now you have seen now my big plane, this one, and you see it has just one blade. This works fine. It is just like a super big chisel, and you can scrape with a chisel, or you can buy or make such a big plane or another plane, and then you just scrape or cut away the fibers of the wood. So this plane has just one blade too. It has here a hole, and there too there has been some kind of nail in it, and the nail had holding the chip breaker like here. This is a chip breaker. I will take apart some of my plane and show you how it is, how this works. So there you have two. This is those steel pieces are laminated too. Even the chip breaker is laminated. blade. This is old school high tech. And now you have these two blades. When you are cutting with one blade, let's assume my fingers are the fibers. When you are cutting with one blade, this will happen. The blade will tear out the fibers, and you will have maybe a problem because the fiber gets ripped out of the board, and you will have some holes there missing because you break off the fiber. This happens with one blade, and this happens with one blade only. Some at the 1900s, some after, I assume, 1890, when Japanese borders are reopened because they have been closed at 1650. The Japanese emperor closed the complete border, no foreign tourists allowed in Japan. So they had 200 years where they had worked with just one blade, and then the chip breaker had appeared in history of the Japanese planes. So now, what does this chip breaker do? It does exactly what it is named after. When you are cutting with the plane here, you raise the angle of the blade, and this has the advantage of you have a cutting edge here down, and you have a push away blade on the upper part. Now, when you cut with this kind of plane with a chip breaker like here, then this will happen. You rise the blade will rise the fiber, and when the chip breaker comes, it breaks off the fiber. So you have not like a spaghetti, like a long fiber that can be pulled up because you break the fiber. So that's the explanation of this chip breaker. Now, this pin here, or nail, is made also from a hardened steel. This is a good steel, it's not a soft steel. You assemble it like this. You put the blade in, the down blade. This is some old plane, it's about, I don't know, maybe it is 60 years old, but it is okay. It is a very good plane. It's my go-to plane because it is light and it is super sharp and really easy to adjust. Now what I did is I put in the down part of the plane, the big knife or the big blade. You watch on the underside when the blade starts to appear on the flat surface. Here you look in the light, and when the blade comes out, you know you're on the right spot. You then readjust the blade until you are happy with, and then you hammer the chip breaker down on the underblade. So when you have both of these blades down here, the cutting part of the underblade, this is a paper thick differential from both blades. That is enough, or two paper sheet thicknesses. It's about 0.025 millimeters. It's really thin. Just take some paper, fold it, and then you hold it against where the blades are touching in this manner, and then the chip breaker, the fiber breaker will break the fiber immediately after this cut. It's really, I can tell you, it is a really good system. It's some maintenance to do, but I don't care. I will adjust this later because time is precious. Yeah, that's not bad. No, that's too much. And there are different kind of planes too. This plane is it's a finishing plane. It is super. The steel is amazing. It just leaves a very shiny finish. This I assume you see a light reflection on this board. This is not lacquer. You don't just use only this 1000 grit stone. You use up to 5,000–6,000 grit stone or powder on the blade. And when you take your almost polished steel, what happens is when you cut the surface of the steel leaves the mirroring behind in the wood it has cut. So as higher you polish your blades, the higher the polish, the higher the result of shininess in the wood will be. So you can test this. Just sharpen some plain blades with 1000 grit, and then you are taking some polishing leather. Do I have some? Yes, there's one. You make yourself such a piece of leather. On this side is chrome oxide, and on this side is this side, the green side is chrome oxide. This is iron oxide paste. You make it by buying powders and mixing powder and wax together, and then you apply it. It's just leather, and then you take the blade and you polish it up. It's really easy. This is an English blade from such an English Stanley plane. You see here the same. There is soft steel, and this is the shiny part is hard steel, but this has more chromium inside. It is not as such a good steel as the Japanese steels, in my view, and maybe in your too, when you are checking out for the qualities. When you have a variety of planes, you can test the steels. They are on them. You will see the Japanese steels are really very good. This is here's a part missing. Here would be a part like this, and then you are there's zinc bronze too, and here would be a knife. I took out the knife, and then you can plain stuff on this side like this, and then you will cut out in the wood some steps. This is a step plane. I took this off because I had to do work here. So you have a very flat surface around here, and when you plug this part in the other part, it is snug fit. It is really, and there is no wiggling. There's no movement. Where there's no movement, there's no destruction of the fibers. Okay, now I have here some round part. You can make yourself with the same blades around a plane. The underpart here is round. You can scrape them round shapes. So that's it for this planes. This weighs about 1.2 kilograms. It's really heavy. It's hefty as hell. But you have to work fast with such planes. When you work slowly with them, you will get the same result as when you work fast. Trust me on this, or try it. This is some round plane. The blade is too round. You will cut fast and deep round shapes out of the wood. This is made to plane some wood that you have freshly cut like this. It's made with a bandsaw, but it's almost flat and perfect to work with some normal plane on it. So this is the sweat. It is some pre-shape plane, this kind of plane. You can use some electric planes or such a plane. This is a modern plane. it has some blades here, and then you can do it with some electrical plane or with this. I do both. When I have to make some really big part of wood, I use most in short time periods this thing. So, and when I have to do smaller things, I use this. I've used this. The English plane here, the Stanley plane, you can check them out, but this is for pushing, and I use them like a Japanese plane and pull it again to me. I like the pulling idea from the Japanese working tools. It is easier. You can work more precise by pulling to you as pushing from your way, in my experience. Those are some angles. This is some carpenter angle. You can find out by yourself what you do with this. This is some checking angle. You can check your stuff. It is it in a 90-degree angle or not. And well, when all is in a 90-degree angle, especially parts like this here, that go in a hole that has a 90-degree angle, it has to fit properly by about 0.5 to 1 millimeter. We are working extreme precise with such carpentry or building things, or at least I do it. I copied this method from the Japanese carpenters, because when you're not working in the small things precise, the whole thing will be wobbly, and when some earthquake comes and you have wobble, it will not, that the wood, when it is fit properly together, it will bend, and this gives the buildings its own stability, its robustness, because when it can wiggle much away, it will break away some fibers and the structures will fall together. That's it from me. This is a chisel bag. You can make them by yourself. I have some drill in it. So you just pull your chisels inside there. Then you close. This is nothing. It's 13. You close up the both leaves, and then you roll it. Normally the chisels are not in like this. They are opposite directions, and then you roll it, and then you make from this some kind of bag or sock, a rolling bag. You close it like this, make, yeah, that has been wrong, like this, some knots, and you're good to go. So the chisel will not fall out. That's a transportation bag. I like it. Thanks for your attention. And again, that's it about the chisels. Why they have a hollow grind, why they are laminated steels, and why you should hammer down the edge on the soft part of the softer steel down slightly on the anvil. Take a chisel that do not cost about $500, because you have a lot of work to rework, and when you chip out, when you break out some chip, you lose material, and you buy this. It has use, but when you lose a chip, you lose time to use, because the product sharpens faster. So, where do you get them? Well, you can go on eBay and buy such a thing. About $200 you get a good set of old used chisels. Spend some money, test on one cheapish looking chisel how to do what I just told you about to do. This is a Damascus chisel. It's made from Damascus and some harder steel. I got this for a bargain. I assume this will cost about $600 when it is handmade Damascus. I forged myself handmade Damascus stuff some, not often, but I can do this. But it is a hell of work that goes in such a form of chisel, so that the price would be appropriate with $600. They are from old carpenters that give up the trade or died, I assume, and well, then some guy goes and buys up the stuff that is not more in use because of the giving up. That's a gooseneck chisel. I just took a normal chisel, bended it cold. It is such a soft steel, you can bend it cold, and then I welded on some handle. You can work with this thing inside here, also not here necessarily, that would be, well, you can work with this thing inside of stuff, that's it, in some cutout, 3-4 centimeters deep, where you cannot reach in, where you could not reach in with this, you can reach, you see, about 3 times as long. This chisel is 3 times as long as this chisel, from the way it can make. So, okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Again, check out the images and the texts, and you will understand why those chisels are technically advantage, has a higher technically advantage over such a industrial made chisel. When you spend on one chisel $30, you are in a good spot, I can tell you that. And when you buy a set of 400 to 500 US dollar from a Japanese seller, don't buy these for $5. They are not worth $2. Any of them are at least 20 to 30 to 50 years old, these chisels. I assume, okay. I don't know, it's no mark from a date, but you can tell from the oxidation this is not a new tool. But it is worth any penny. It's really, they are really good. I like to work with them. And with the planes too, you can buy, normally they sell sets, 3 planes for around 200 to, you can buy a car with some of these, not with these planes, but with the planes I've seen. I've seen a package of planes of 4, it was a set that had cost $5,000 to $6,000. You know, there's price elasticity from cheap, made for anybody, or high expensive for not anybody. So it's always the same. And well, again, I have to cut. Check out the images and go search on eBay for sets of such Japanese carpentry tools, refurbish them, and you're good to go. You will not cry any tears when you buy Japanese used tools. And that's it from me. Have a nice day and goodbye. Thank you. Have fun with the tools. They are really good and fun to use. And maybe send me some images from what you have done with such tools. That's all. Bye.